Hola everyone and welcome to Play It Like Dimebag. With this video series, my goal is to show not only what I believe are the right notes, but also show how to play them right, the attitude and the touch, the phrasings of Dimebag. And with that being said, let's just go through with the solo of Avoid the Light. The first two notes are on the D string, and it's the 3rd and the 5th fret. And the wah pedal is somewhere in between, at least mine. So it's not fully open, but it's not fully down. Somewhere in between. And after the 5th, there's a little bit of pause before we would go to the next note, which is the 2nd fret on the G string. And right after that 2nd, there's another rest as well. Every note are picked with the downstroke, and then the 4th note, which is the 3rd fret on the G string, is an upstroke. So after the 3rd fret, we go back to the 2nd and then straight back to the 3rd with an alternate picking, starting with the downstroke. Down, 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 up, down, up. And from there, slide up kind of slowly to the 5th fret. You can also put a little bit of color with opening up the wah pedal there. Rhythm is kind of tricky there. I hear it's somewhere in between a dotted 8th note and the triplet feel. This one. It's really a feel thing, so you gotta use your ear as well. And then comes that whole note bending, adding with the pinched harmonic. To me, it's somewhere in between the two pickups. This one. And then the next note is the same. It's already pre-bended, and then we release that, but it's more of a straight release. Then go to the 3rd, which is also pinched harmonic, and then to the 2nd, also pinched harmonic, but with the very wide vibrato. And after the 2nd, we go to the 3rd fret on the D string with the middle finger, also pinched harmonics, and then with the index finger to the 3rd fret of the A string. All together. The second time, we repeat the same. The first note is a little more open with the wah pedal. And now we're gonna let this ring longer, release it a little bit, and then bend it back again. And then we start that tapping thing, just 1 octave higher on the 17th fret of the G string. And it's 11 times. 5 plus 5 plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And heavy vibrato. That's it. Start doing the same thing, except it's 1 octave higher, and I also switched to the neck pickup for this one. Very similar rests, so it's... And right after this note, things start to happen for real. So we ended up with an upstroke here, and then we do a downstroke and an upstroke on the 15th and the 17th fret. From the 17th back to the 15th and then back to the 17th. So it's a little rest and then go back to the 15th and then upstroke on the 17th and then a whole note bend up with the heavy vibrato. So together. And now comes the fast lick, very typical Dimebag. But what makes it somewhat more challenging than the regular ones is that and it's also not too unusual for dime, that it starts with 16th notes and then it goes to 16th triplets. These are the 16th notes. So it's the 15th downstroke, and then an upstroke on the 18th, and then a pull off, and then from here it's alternate picking, twice the 18th note, and then go to the G 18th and bend that up and go back to the 15th, so it's pretty much the same note there. And then end up on the 18th of the G string. So slowly. And then comes the triplet part, starting from the 17th with an upstroke, and then pull off to the 15th, and then legato back to the 17th and the 18th, and then to the 15th on the E string, upstroke, down on the 18th of the B, pull off, and then down on the 18th, 17th upstroke, and again. Together, this one. With the downstroke, we bend up the 18th a whole note. And then upstroke on the 17th, bend it up to the 18th. And then 15th. And then end up on the 19th of the G string. So I picked this starting with the downstroke, and then 2 upstrokes, and then ending on the downstroke. Heavy vibrato and the wah pedals all the way down. Slowly together. We're still on the neck pickup. After you go down from the 8th to the 7th, then you go back to the 8th, there's a very articulate stop there. And you slide up from around the 5th fret. And you do a little vibrato with the index finger on the 7th fret. And then stop on the 8th. Then you repeat the same, but now you let the 8th ring and slide down. And then come back again, but there's no rest in between. And then after the 7th, bend up the 8th, adding a pinched harmonic there. And then you slide up from the 8th to the 10th and slowly bend up around the half note. And then after that bend, you go back to the 10th. Vibrato, then go to the 8th, and then go back to the 10th with the ring finger and bend up a whole note this time. Pick the release part as well, but you can't really hear the release. Just the bend up. Start the bend up with a downstroke and then another downstroke on the 10th fret, so it's, and then upstroke on the 8th, then you go to the 10th fret on the D string. And with an upstroke you finish it on the 9th. So together, this part. And then comes the country bending, and before you would go there, this one, before that, twice the 9th, and then with the downstroke, you pick the 15th fret on the E string, and then upstroke on the 15th of the B, but now they have to ring together. And after that, you do this bending, and this is the very tricky part if you have a tremolo system, because things would go flat. So what you have to do is right after the 2nd note, when you start bend up the G14th, the whole note, then you flip over to, with the pinky, to only the B string, and then it's only 2 strings that we're using, so it doesn't go too flat. And it's actually two guitars for that part on the record, and that gives sort of a chorusy effect to it, and it makes it more alive. It's not too clean, but that's what it makes it pretty cool, I think. So this is just only two notes always at the time that are ringing together. And then you repeat. This is the tricky part when you go back. You have to do the same. But the second time, the 14th fret on the G string is a very quick bend up, a pre-bend there. And then you release that, bend up on the 20th of the G string. On one string it would sound like this. The picking patterns are starting with a downstroke, because that's how you end up there. Down, up, down, and then up, up, down, and then another downstroke. So it's... Now we're back on the bridge pickup again, and we bend up the 15th fret on the B string twice, and only pick it once. And then, with another downstroke, it's a bend up and the release, and then upstroke on the 12th, and then downstroke on the 15th, the G string, and then go back to the 12th with an upstroke. And there, you can hear like a really old school bluesy vibrato using only the index finger, and then comes a pretty heavy bending part starting from the 15th fret on the E string with the downstroke, and you can hear that the wah pedal is opening up while you're adding the ghost notes, so it's a very slow start, like you want to play that a little behind. So downstroke first, and then twice you repeat, but you don't release it all the way down, like a half a note higher. Downstroke once, and then twice, an upstroke. And also make sure that these dotted 8 notes bendings are not picked except for the first and the last one from the 50s. It's pretty, it can hurt you. And then release. So we start this one on the 12th fret with a downstroke, and then go to the 15th with an upstroke, and then pull off back to the 12th, and then downstroke on the 15th of the B string, and then with the same finger you go back with an upstroke to the 15th on the E string. So together so far. And then right after this one, that's the tricky part, you bend up the 15th on the B string with the same finger again. And then go back to the 12th on the E string. And then you bend up the 15th again, a whole note on the B string. And the next part, what makes it very special, it's the notes are very simple. It's the 15th fret with the downstroke, and then a pull off to the 12th. Before the pull off, you actually bend that string, and then twice the 15th with a down and an upstroke, and then you go to the G 15th and also bend that up a whole note, but this time it's upwards, so this direction, and then go back to the 12th on the B string, and then downstroke on the 15th, and then the 14th, but you do the same like you did on the 15th and the B string before, like downwards. There's a bending before the pull off, so it's an upstroke, then downstroke on the G 14th, and then back to the 12th with an upstroke, and then bend that up and release it. After you release it, you also pick it with a downstroke. and that's also a downwards bending and not an upwards. They sound different. Just try it out and you'll see it's a different effect, a different color. And also there's a wide vibrato on the 12th at the end. And then the next part, we slide up on the G string to the 16th fret, and then with an upstroke to the 15th index finger, and then back to the 16th. And now we go up to the 17th and back to the 16th twice, and the third time you end up on the 17th. And then you pick the 17th on the E string with an upstroke and pull up to the 16th and start to pull down the tremolo bar and also vibrate it while you're pulling it down. It's very difficult. And then twice on the 15th of the B string, then the 19th, downstroke, and then upstroke on the 15th, and then end up on the 19th with a whole and a half note bending. And drop it at the end. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed and maybe even learned something from it. And if so, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment if you have any questions or suggestions on which solo would you want to hear next. And also I got a Patreon site if you want to check that out. Click on the link below, and that's about it. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you next time. Ciao! So the first two now, and also make sure that these faster bendings, and also make sure that these, and also make sure that these eighth notes dot, and also make sure that these dotted eighth notes, and also make sure that these dotted eighth notes bendings are. Yeah, but with the very wide vibrato. But with the very wide vibrato.